Welcome to Free Coding Academy's videos on Python. This is part 6, functions. So first of all, what is a function? A function is a named chunk of code that completes a task when called. So it can be used again and again. And so this makes code much more efficient because instead of typing the same code again and again, you can just simply call the function to complete whatever task it's supposed to complete. So this is the basic structure of how a function is defined. So you're going to have def, which stands for define, and then the function name, and then you're going to have any parameters inside the parentheses, and then a colon, and then the code for whatever the function does is located beneath that after you indent. So here's an example of a very simple function. So define def, print greetings, and then you're going to take in parameters of first name and last name. So it's going to print greetings plus the first name, plus a space, plus the last name, plus an exclamation point. So for instance, if you call this function with print greetings and then Harry Potter, that's going to output greetings Harry Potter. Next, the scope of variables. So the scope refers to the part of the program where variables can be accessed. So global scope is when variables which are created outside of any function or loops can be accessed throughout the program. So their scope is global, they can be used anywhere. A local scope refers to variables created within functions or loops, and they can only be accessed within that chunk of code. So their scope is local to that section. So when variables are modified inside functions, the variable is considered to be local unless it is declared with the global keyword. Next, parameters are variables in the function that represent user input. So functions can have several parameters, as we saw in the last example, where we had two parameters, first name and last name. Next, an argument refers to the actual values which users input when calling the method. So in the last example, the arguments were the words Harry and Potter for first name and last name. So arguments must follow the same number, data types, and order as the parameters in the function. So in the last example, we had two strings for first name and last name. Therefore, you had to enter two strings, and in that order. Next up, mutability. So mutable refers to objects that can be changed after being created. Immutable refers to objects that cannot be changed after being created. Next, passed by object reference is when values passed into functions, which are arguments, are changed inside a function. Those objects will either remain changed or not outside the function based on their mutability. The object reference, which is information about where it is stored in memory, is passed to the function. So that's what passed by object reference means. Next up, return statements. So functions can have a return statement, which allows them to return a value. If a function does not have a return statement, it means it is returning none or nothing. Several return statements can exist inside a function. So here's an example. If you have an if-else statement, the function may return one value if the condition is true, and return another value if the condition is false. So since functions return values, they can be used in expressions based on the value they return. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching, and please remember to watch part 7 next.